Hi, I'm Ben Pascoe from learningsurfphotography.com, and I had an exciting package arrive this morning. It's the KSD6 Dome for the GoPro from KNEKT with a GPLT trigger, which has been updated a bit. I'm going to do a quick unboxing for you. I know a lot of people are going to be waiting for this to arrive. They're going to be back in stock in May. And I've luckily got my hands on one. I haven't had a chance to actually play with one in person yet, so I've used some similar products. This is going to be my first time with the KNEKT, and I'm super excited. I have actually opened it and taken all of the stickers and things off, so just so you know. Instructions that come with it are really, really good. I've read through them all, which I advise you do as well. There's nice clear photos, step by step, for different types of mounting, so it's slightly different for the GP4 trigger versus the GPLT. I've got the GPLT, got the original one there, which I love, and I've got the new one, updated one, which I'll go through after this. The main event here being this dome. So first of all, why would you want to use it? Well, I've got another video on my YouTube channel, which I'll link to below, which goes through why you'd want to use this kind of domed port for your GoPro, with a few examples, and also my experience using the SPL, similar sort of product from SPL. I'll mention a couple of differences though in a moment. Give you an idea though, this is what KNEKT say about it. The KNEKT KSD6 Dome port allows your GoPro to capture images both above and below the water simultaneously. These are referred to as 50-50, over-under or split level pictures. The KSD6 provides access to all power and mode functions while installed. It is one of the most advanced additions available for the GoPro camera. So that's one of the main differences. This one's going to give you access to the power control. So first thing I notice, excellent instructions, lots of pictures, even some tips on how to get really good photos from the dome as well, which is really good. I'll go through those in a future video once I've had a go of using it. You get 3 spare O-rings. I'll show you where those go in the actual device in a moment and why it's great that they've included those. Really well packaged, you get lots of padding in there. This is like a nice lint-free cloth which covers the dome itself. You do want to be careful, it's something they mentioned as well. Acrylic does scratch. Small scratches generally don't show up too badly on photos. Big scratches will. I've scratched my dome ports before, just whacking them into the sand essentially, just not being careful enough. So do bear that in mind if you haven't used something like this before. It's not as hard wearing as like the little glass element on the GoPro housing itself. So what do you get? You've got your instructions and your spare O-rings. You've got nicely protected acrylic dome. So they use the top portion of the hemisphere of an acrylic dome in the same way as my dome port for my Aquatech housing, which I don't have lying around. It's in my other video. I'm just trying to get this quickly up there so you get an idea of how excited I am about trying it out. You got this little lever on the side, which is obviously for the control on the front of your GoPro housing, which is power and changing modes. That's something you can't get on the SPL dome port. When the dome port's installed, you can't use that button, so you have to set it up beforehand. So that's something to bear in mind. Okay, you've got this section here comes off. This is a plastic screw. I think I like the way it's plastic because everything else here is metal, as you can tell, and it just feels quality, just like the GPLT trigger I've used for a while now. Just all fits together nicely. There's no rough edges. There's nothing. Everything about it says quality. A lot of thought's gone into it, and just brilliantly finished. Yeah, just no imperfections at all, which is great. It's really reassuring when you open something up, especially after it's come quite a long way to me in the UK, and it just looks perfect. So as I was saying, this is the only plastic bit, but then it is the only bit that's going to be near your face if it comes towards you. Certainly if you're not using one of these pistol grips. So I can understand that, and it's nice and neat and got nice grip on it, so you're not going to slip or anything like that. So everything else, like I say, is I guess this is aluminium, and then we've got some possibly stainless steel here, I'm not sure, just like a little L-shaped bracket here, which in a moment I'll show you. It helps keep the GoPro housing secured in place. So this thing, it's got like a little rubber cover on it, so you get a good grip. it's nice and free moving. It's not gonna, it's got a little bit of spring to it, but I don't think it's gonna activate the button on its own, put it that way. Okay, so the main thing you want to do is stick your GoPro housing straight on there. So something I think I've noticed since the photos, some of the early photos I saw of the dome had just a plain back piece. This one's actually got a cutout, which is very useful for me because I use the GoPro Hero 4 Silver, which has an LCD screen on the back. I'll show you in a bit more detail and some photos in a moment. So let's try and do this. If you pop the case open like you would normally, pop the camera in. Don't need to switch it on and get everything up and running now because you do have control to access to all the controls, so that's good. Close that up, make sure the O-ring's all good. It's good practice whenever you're closing your GoPro. And then latch just pops down. Okay, we're all good. Now, this section here, inside this little recessed portion, is an O-ring on the inside there. So that's what your spare O-rings go. And I reckon the reason they give you the spares is because if you're taking your housing in and out all the time to use it without the dome, then there's a chance at some point you're going to snag that. Now, I'll show you how. First of all, this is all in the detailed instructions. So hold that in one hand. This is how easy it is. You've got to make sure it goes in nice and level and slots in nicely, and then a little bit of pressure, you really don't need much, slowly puts it through. That's it. So that's on, in place. Your GoPro is completely sealed in the normal case, so it doesn't affect your depth rating or anything like that. Even if a bit of water gets into this dome through that seal, if you've pinched the O-ring and you didn't realise, or for whatever reason, it's not the end of the world. You're not going to lose your camera. You're just going to need to dry this dome out. You don't want to get any water in there if you can help it, just because that's going to be a pain to get out and to keep the moisture out of there is best practice. You can see that you've got a good view of the LCD screen on the front of the GoPro, so you can see what settings are at and what that's up to, how many videos you've shot that day. So, right, next step. This little piece, nice metal piece, it's got like some soft foam backing surround so it doesn't scratch your case or anything like that. You can actually open the case, I discovered this earlier, when it's still attached to the dome, like so. So you can take your camera out. So what I'm going to do is just, I've got a spare case here that I can use with my camera if I don't want to use the dome. This case is now permanently attached to the dome for me. So all I need to do is take the back thing off, pop the camera out, pop it back, and I never have to worry about that little O-ring then. I imagine it's probably worth doing, I think. Just pick up an extra case, they're not very expensive, and then you can just leave it there. And then you're always ready to go with your dome, you don't have to fiddle around. The last thing you want to do is try and get this dome apart of the beach. That I think is going to be a really big advantage over the SPL version that I've tried, because that is a bit of a pain to put together, because you need the 4 bolts on the back and you need to double check the O-rings right. In this case though, you just pop that like that, screw the little bolt in. Incidentally, this is all in the instructions that come with it. I have read them. Oh, there you go, I've activated it. Let's see if that happens very often, because I'm not doing this right. You've got to make sure you don't cross thread this. And I'm not lining it up properly because I'm not concentrating. Okay, you can hear it going, beeping through some things. I'm going to check and see how sensitive that is in a moment. There we go. Don't over tighten it because it's plastic and it'll strip the threads. So that'll be a bit of a pain. Okay, so as you can see, maybe, you can see you got a view of the whole of the LCD screen. So that's perfect, not obscuring your view at all. You've got access to the side button for your Wi-Fi and things like that, and your quick settings. I can go through the modes. It's really good actually, really responsive, it clicks nicely. So let's see if I can switch it off. There we go, off. Brilliant. So that's a little touch of genius there. That gives you access to that. You've got access to the top button. So all your controls perfectly. It's going to work with your Wi-Fi remote or your phone app because it's just the normal case. It's not encased in aluminium like the SPL one would be. So yeah, there we go. That's pretty simple. One touch, one thing that KNEKT have done, and they do these little touches really well. They've put a little line on the back which goes through the center of the lens, and it says H2O for water obviously, and it joins up this side as well, and that way you can see where you can use that as a guide to get the water perfectly level. The reason that's important is because with the really wide angle lens on the GoPro, if you're tilting up, if the water's down here, then you're going to have like a U-shaped water. Even if the water's completely flat, the water's going to look like it's kind of bending down. And likewise, if you're tilting down slightly, it's going to be bending up, and that's not always a bad thing. A little bit of distortion is quite good fun. But if you wanted that nice level line, what's quite hard sometimes, without getting in the shot because it's so wide, without kind of holding it sideways, which is what I have done in the past with my traditional water housing and with the SPL version, you can just at a glance see where the water is, line that up, hit the trigger. In this case, it would be the GPLT trigger, and get the shot. So just a really nice touch. It didn't even occur to me that would be something they would have done, not mentioned anywhere, but that's a really nice touch. So all great so far. As I said, it is compatible with the GP4 trigger, and that will allow you to see the screen. Right now, we've got access to that, so I could stick my my GoPro bobber, if I can find it. I could stick it on my GoPro GoPole bobber, for instance, or one of the KNEKT poles. Just fits on like that. So there you have it. I mean, you don't need to use, that's it. And then I've got control of all the buttons, boop, boop, boop. And I can see the back of the screen. Obviously that's going to be watertight, so that, what I found with the SPL one, and what I suspect is true of this one as well, and I'll test this obviously when I get to use it in the water, is that the buoyancy that air pocket in the dome gives you means that it floats quite well, so you don't even need a bobber on it. It'd be really interesting to see if it floats with the GPLT trigger. Not that you're going to let go of it really. I mean, if you're letting go of all this gear, then you've got other problems. But it's a good thing to note is that it'll help you retrieve your GoPro if you do drop it. So that's a good way to scratch it though, so I wouldn't let go of it if you can possibly help it. So pretty good access to that as well. Good gap there, so that's pretty easy. Next up though, we've got the GPLT trigger. So I'm going to put that aside and I'll show you how easy it is to combine the two. This is the old one. It will combine with the old one, no problem at all, but let me just open up the new GPLT trigger and show you what changes have happened. So you get your sticker. You also get a sticker with the dome as well. It's good to go. You've got some details about care and warranties and things like that. There we go. So you get these little three little tiny rubber bands. They go in here. You can take that off yourself. It's just a standard Allen bolt. So get your little Allen key out and you can take that off and replace the little rubber thing which gives you the spring motion. So it snaps back. They've changed the aluminium piece so it's all one piece, so this doesn't have this bit on the back. So I guess that makes it just a bit more user-friendly. It's nothing less to go wrong, I suppose. Other than that, very similar design. There's a rubber kind of sheath on the trigger, so it just makes it a bit grippier. Very similar to the one on the power button on the dome. The plastic handle itself has changed. It's now like a molded piece of plastic, and this one almost looks like it's machined. Very similar in design though. This one's got a bigger hole there, which is always good. A bit easier to thread through your leash string. But other than that, very similar. Totally understand why they've done that, is because it was a great design in the first place. Why fix it if it ain't broke? So yeah, a couple of little touches that have made it's a bit lighter as well. I think so. They're very light, both of them anyway, so it's probably not much to it. Perhaps this one would actually help with flotation. I'll try that out as well. But let's see. If you've received the same package I have, you're going to want to do this. Pick up your GoPro with the KSD6 Dome on it. Do a little, pop the little trigger up, slots in like that. Get your GoPro bolt, just a standard bolt, and then if you wiggle it a bit, I shouldn't have chosen a bolt that I'd used in the sea because it's all sandy and it takes a little while to get in. So yeah, rinse your GoPro bolt before you do this. It might go a bit smoother, but there you go, it's in. So that's it, secure, job done. So I've got my, let's switch it on. Beep, beep, beep. Obviously, design of this one means it is obscuring the LCD. So not the end of the world, you don't get the view of the LCD on the SPL version either, for instance, but you could get the, let's have a look. It's the GP4 trigger, which has its kind of U shape. I'll put a little picture up, which I think would complement the new backplate and would allow you to see it. But I mean, they've done everything they can with this little line. It's such a little thing, but it's genius that they put it there. I don't know why I didn't think of drawing that on myself when I was using the SPL one, because I was literally like this. I've got quite a few photos where you can see me at the very edge of the frame. But that's that. There you go. That started recording, that stopped. And then if you want to shoot stills, which you probably will do with this Dome, because it's video looks awesome, but stills are really where it comes into its own, I think. And there we go. Easy peasy. So yeah, and the best thing, one of the best things is it's very intuitive to line up with that line, because it's literally in line with your finger where you're pulling the trigger. With the other designs where you're actually holding it down here, or even using this one without a trigger, it's less intuitive because you've got, you're kind of semi-submerged, or yeah, it's a bit tricky. The other thing is if you want to shoot kind of portrait orientation, which actually it does help quite a bit, I think, with if you're shooting stills especially. I mean, video you wouldn't shoot like that because no one watches video in that kind of orientation unless it's an annoying YouTube video from someone's phone. So you want a bit more vertical coverage. It's useful with this over-under because obviously you want to capture as much under and over at the same time as possible. So you can, yeah, what I'm saying is you don't need this line as much because you literally just lay this on the surface of the water, and because you're because it's kind of intuitively where you'd imagine I suppose a gun barrel would be, is where your lens is. You can do it like this, take the photo over under. I'm going to experiment with this obviously a lot. I'm really looking forward to it. I went to the beach today, but it was horrible, so windy and cold and rainy, and that's one of the things that they mention as well, is you want a nice sunny day where you can see what's going on in the water, get good visibility. So yeah, anyone who's ordered one of these already is going to be really happy when it arrives. If you haven't already, I will put a link below. The website is, let's have a look, make sure I get it right, KNEKTUSA.com, KNEKTUSA.com. Check them out on their website, on Instagram. There's loads of example photos of this exact setup being used. So also works with the cheap budget GoPro Hero camera as well. I imagine there's not going to be many people combining these two because this is obviously a bit pricey compared to one of the budget cameras. But yeah, there'll be no doubt a few people who are going to say it's too expensive, or there should be a cheaper version. And there is, you can make your own. There are other options. There's a 3D printed backplate where you can purchase your own dome and bolts and O-ring and the other pieces you need to fix it. And that looks quite interesting for a budget, someone on a budget who's not afraid to get things done themselves. The SPL one I think is the same price, a bit more expensive perhaps. But you really have to kind of, I couldn't make something this good, put it that way. And I've made housings and things in the past, but any DIY option I've seen, it doesn't come anywhere near as close to the finished quality of this. Just the reliability, I think, just knowing that it's not going to flood your camera in any situation. I mean, unless your original GoPro housing leaks, then this thing isn't going to leak. So I think it's worth the money. It's the only, a dome port like this is the only way of getting over under shots with your GoPro. You can try as hard as you want with the original housing, trying to get a split line across there. It's possible, I'm sure, but this thing is well, no, when I say it's possible, it's not really possible to get the same effect as you can get with this. So if that's what you want and you don't have the means to build your own, and trust me, you do not have the means to build your own as good as this, if you do, make them and sell them, because this is really popular. They sell out as soon as they come in. I'm going to enjoy using mine. Hope to get another video up soon of me actually using it. But yeah, it's everything I hoped for, really. It matches the high quality of the other KNEKT products I've seen. Perfectly complements their trigger range. Yeah, look at it. What a beauty. learningsurfphotography.com. I'll put a post up with lots of links underneath for all the different options, and a link to KNEKT USA as well. So yeah, can't wait to use it.